Hello everyone, and welcome back. Tonight, I will be playing Nightreign as I read some stories. As always, the stories will be linked in the description along with the videos used, music used, playlist timestamps, and my TikTok. And if you like videos like this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Valentine movie date gone wrong. Hi! Quick piece of information. Everyone in this tale of events are going to get nicknames to protect their privacy. Now onto it. For context, it was a double date with two of my friends, Worm, female 21, and her boyfriend, Stone, 21 male. The guy I was meeting up with for the date, let's call him Shah, 25 male. Hi, my name is Vinny, 21 non-binary, and this is a story of how my first ever Valentine and first ever date went. Spoiler, it went bad. I had known Shaw for around a year and a half, and he had seemed like a nice guy. I had met him through a friend, and we would talk on and off. Well, mainly he would talk when we chatted, but I didn't mind at the time since I was used to that in my life. We stopped talking for a long while, until one day he texts me and then calls me saying how he is single now and how his exes were bad or crazy with him, and then mentioned cute date ideas and plans for the future. At the time, I had gotten out of a pretty messy relationship, and it had taken me a while before I had thought it was time to go out and try dating again. So with Valentine's around the corner, I asked him out to the movies and suggested to make it a double date, since I am trouble at seeing the bad sides in people and try to explain their behavior. He says yes, and we plan to see a movie of my choose and eat dinner at some place. We ended up at a really bad buffet, his choice. Before the big day, I had spent around a week and a half planning my outfit, my makeup, and the movie. I had suggested the movie Iron Lung, since I follow Markiplier and have been a watcher for years of his. I also wanted a popcorn tin, but no dice. Everyone agreed to watch the movie, and I began telling them how important this movie is for me and that I was grateful that we could watch it. The day arrives. I'm in a dress and makeup that is supposed to look like cherry blossoms. It didn't look that good since I had just gotten into makeup. I get picked up by Worm and Stone. Stone begins to ask me questions about Shah. I answered all of them a bit to good, since I knew more about him than he did about me. We get to Shah's place and pick him up. He hands me a box of chocolates and says he couldn't find the ones I told him I liked. I had told him I liked chocolate with caramel in them. I didn't care about the kind. I handed my gift to him, which was a cute brown cow plush that made me think of him in kitchen towels, since he is a chef, in college for culinary arts, and likes to cook all the time. As the car ride travels on, he pulls out his phone and begins to show me food pictures, ones he had made in college. No context. I get car sick, and depending on what I'm doing in the car, can make it worse or better. Everyone I know knows this about me, so I am no good at being a guide unless my phone says it for me. So I began to feel a bit sick, so I tell him I am getting a bit car sick. Now any normal man, woman, or person would place their phone away and talk about something else. Not him. He processed to show me even more food pictures, while I am trying not to puke in my best friend's boyfriend's car. Thankfully, it didn't take too long for our first stop, which was a surprise for group. It was an antique shop. Now, this part of the date was good, so I thought it was going good. Then we went to the mall where the theater was located, and everything went downhill. We head to the theater and choose a time in which we could walk around the mall a bit before sitting in our seats. I didn't buy the tickets for me and Shah. He was very forceful about buying them. I almost bought them since one, I was used to that, and two, I had forgotten he said he would. So I will take the L, that part was on me. We then walk around the mall, and the whole time he keeps bringing up the time in the movie. At this point, we had 45 minutes left until it started. After walking around till it was time, we head back to the theater to get our food, which I had gotten a large popcorn bowl and Doritos with nacho cheese. Spoiler, the Doritos sadly went to waste. I'm still upset about that. Shah accidentally knocked them over. I go and find our seats. Then Shah comes up after me. We sat next to each other, and I still don't know why he thought this was a good idea, but he showed me his bank account. $36.13. I will never forget this number till the day I perish from this earth. We sit in silence until the movie began. My mind went from sure it's fine for him to buy your tickets to oh shit, I should have bought them. I've seen numbers like that before, and instantly a seed of doubt, anxiety, and pain hit me. For context, in my last relationship, I was the money bags in it, and that is as far as I feel like sharing at this point. I rather forget. I try to push past that and focus on the movie. We get about 10 minutes into it, and here's snores. I look around the theater and find Shaw fully asleep and snoring. That had just ruined the entire movie for me. Until I saw a shirtless Mark that fixed everything until the near end of the movie, in which Shaw wakes up and tries to lie and say he enjoyed and liked the movie. I instantly told him he had slept until the end and proceed to exit the theater. Tears at this point are building up in my eyes, and I keep telling Worm and Stone that I'm fine, until Worm got me by myself in the women's bathroom. Did I finally cried and told her everything, how I had general hope for this top go well, and how this movie meant a lot to me. Context, I'm autistic and have depression, anxiety, and undiagnosed ADHD, and iron lung have been one of the only things keeping me going through the years, and having something I love and showing to another person, and be like it's not at least with a little time or effort to understand it, to understand me. It had hurt and still hurts. After that, we ate a bad buffet, in which I had paid for everyone's meals. First, to thank Worm and Stone for joining and help with the ride, and two, to get out of there as fast as I can away from Shaw. I couldn't even look at him for the rest for the night. I go home, walk to my room, and cry for the rest of the night. It has now been a couple months since that has happened. Shaw and I no longer text/call, so I know what guy he's been all along. But now since that has happened, I no longer wear makeup or feel like going out or feel like what I like is worth it, and have begun to feel like love and dating in general is just not my thing, and that I don't deserve it. I want to clarify, I know this is not true, but minds be bonkers sometimes. I 35F ex-partner 45M Hinge app story. I really hope writing down all that I'm feeling the last few weeks can help me slowly heal my broken heart by the person I never expected. I need to tell our story. We met on Hinge dating app August of 2025. I just got back from ski trip with friends, and he just got back from holiday in Thailand with his daughter. I was just bored after coming back from a trip and just looking around for someone to talk to, and then we matched Thursday night. Same night, we exchanged number, and moved to WhatsApp, we exchanged messages, and then video call. He's interesting, funny, direct to the point. He really caught my attention. Same night, he organized to meet up at Crown Kingpin Saturday afternoon. It was August 16th, since he's going to be kid-free that weekend. And I agree, we're both bored, no other plan that day anyway, and let's just see what happens, what to lose, right? He organized on the spot, same ging Thursday night. Friday came, and another video call. We talked for at least 3 hours at about my last relationship and his. Told him I always wanted to go Valhalla. VIC check out the long tunnel gold mid, but my ex-partner then don't like long trips. So Saturday afternoon came 4 p.m. August 16th first meet. I waited outside Coles and Bay ST, Port Melbourne. He got there, it was so awkward at first, booked Uber to Kingpin. It was so fun. I never played darts and bowling before, so I struggled. He beat me. And then dinner, everything was going well. We end up walking to the Tipsy, cocktail, the conversation flow. Was just there after walk to the Exchange Hotel for more drinks. This is about 11 p.m. now. He's amazing. He can't drive me home since he already had much to drink, and I'm still up for karaoke. And he said his daughter got microphone at home, and I can sing my heart out. By this time, I'm already comfortable around him, like do at least 7 hours of talking. So I went with him. We played music, sing, and dance. And then we kissed. Who kissed first, I don't know, but he said it was me. And everything just faded. Stayed the rest of their night. Next time, he drove me home. I felt bad because I slept with someone on the first date and thought, shit, I'll never hear from him again. But I was wrong, he kept in touch. This guy remembered that I want to go to Valhalla Found and booked the cutest tiny home in Narim, booked it August 19th. 3 days after we met. After that second date, weekend away, we stay in touch. I was not seeing other people. He was the first guy I met on and we clicked, so asked him one day if he's still active in the dating app or seeing other people, because I was no, and so is he. I like him, he like me. We don't see other people, so we locked in. We've been honest with what we want. We had deep conversations as to what we both want, and we were on the same page. It also involves that since both of us have kids, he got 3, and I have 1, we will prioritize their well-being. He's not big with showing affection, but he listens and gives attention. I would say everything was well. We compromised if something arises, which rarely happens. We exist together, as what he said. Random hugs. Kiss. Mucking around being playful with each other. We talked about what's happening with work. He's my king. I guess the biggest struggle was around October, November, when his daughter went through something personal. He needs to be there for her, and I completely understand. It affected our time spent together, but we survived, and his daughter is doing well now. Everything's back on track to go back home in the Philippines next year, 2027, to visit. We welcome 2026 together in his balcony, watching the NY fireworks, a really good NY kiss and tight hug. The last few months, his daughter, know we're dating, he never hide it. Then one day he said to come over to his place. I was confused because his daughter would be home, and I never go when he got the kids. I asked twice if he's sure, because meeting his daughter is a very big step for him to take. And all he said, babe, I'm sure it's time the both of you meet in person. So January 27, 2026, I finally met his daughter, and we got along well. She's amazing. My daughter is back home in the Philippines, but whenever we're on call, we'll sometimes snatch my phone and talk to her and just muck around and got along. Well, she would call him Wilson instead of his name, and he would do the same. He would call her Kimberly instead of her real name. Month of February 2026 was me and his daughter got along really well. Last week of the month, I was doing night shift for 4 days and get to stay at their place during the day to sleep while I was at work and his daughter at school. During those times, I could say we had a routine. I helped with some house chores, cook/clean, do laundry, and 3 of us would sit have dinner together, listen about his day and her day at school, help a little review spelling exam, and after that I get ready for work. That same week, he went away Friday, February 27th, camping with workmates. It was planned weeks ago and trusted me to stay with his daughter to bond, he says. Took her out girls' day out brunch Saturday, and then Sunday took her to High Point. He came back from camping that Sunday, March 1st. Everything was okay. He's normal, talked about what happened. Asked about me and his daughter's weekend. Everything is normal. He cooked dinner that night, watched something on the TV. We both went to bed at 10 p.m. Monday morning, woke up around 4 a.m., ish an hour early before our alarm set. He pulled me back to bed. We both get up at 5 a.m. to get ready for work. Out the door by 5:30 a.m. down to the basement. Kiss a morning goodbye, and both went separate car and left for work in Thursday. I had to go back to his place as I forgot my speaker. His daughter was there. And soon he came home from work. I stayed for a bit, left 5:30 p.m. kiss him bye, and he told me drive safe, traffic is still bad around that time. There was no signs or indications of any sort, but that Monday afternoon, March 2, 2026 was over the last time I see him. He went silent. No messages. I was supposed to see him, and her again Thursday, before he'd pick up his 2 other kids Friday for Labor Day long weekend. March 14th, 9:39 p.m. when we called and said he was avoiding a very hard conversation, but he doesn't see himself with anyone, and that he tried for months, but the feeling was not there, and it's not fair for me because he knew I'm already deep into the relationship, and that he can't use me, and that I deserve better. I asked why he let me meet his daughter, make that big step. All he said was him trying, but just never came. I'm devastated, as there was no red flags the last few months, or the last time we were together. Everything was normal. I didn't see it coming. I begged. I messaged every day to remind him that we are good together. He said it himself, we are great together. I exist with him, we were sync. Still, I cannot believe he would do such thing. I thought we were building something long-term. Thought he was happy and content with what we have. The last few weeks been so hard. I was lied to. I was blindsided. I was left behind. I am hurt. I am in pieces. while he gets on with his life. But I can't make myself hate him. I'm hanging on hoping he'd come back, waiting for him to realize it's a mistake leaving. Caught in a banana suit. Back on a fall night in 2020. The air was starting to get crisp. Too crisp. The heat had stopped working unexpectedly, leaving me to freeze inside of my own restaurant. I had just opened a month prior and was working on my laptop at a table inside while my server darted by me out the front door to our outdoor patio, tapas in hand. Due to COVID regulations, outside seating was mandatory, which was a relief on a night like tonight when the inside dining area felt like our walk-in fridge. I had recently redone the outside seating venue, influenced by a Night in Vienna theme, with brand new fire heaters to match. So the outdoors were filled with flowing wine and warm fire, while I curled up in a booth in a blanket inside, pretending it was enough to keep me warm. But, like I said, the night was crisp. Maybe crisp is an understatement. The temperature was half of what it was at its peak that day. Out of desperation, I decided to check my car for any sort of fabric that might help me get through payroll. When I opened my trunk, I saw it. I know I mentioned I was desperate, but was I that desperate? The answer was yes, of course. But I couldn't let a customer see me in this. I figured I could smuggle it in and slip it on when I was inside, and no one would ever know. Everyone was sitting out on the front patio anyways. So I grabbed my Halloween costume from the weekend before, shoved the Chiquita banana suit into my bag, and walked back. Did I mention my restaurant was in an affluent area in a suburb of Los Angeles? The kind of restaurant where celebrities dined and shows were filmed at? And this was my first business, and I was but a mere 24-year-old baby businesswoman. Try and make a respected name for myself in an appearance-heavy area? Did I also mention I am a silly little goose who makes silly little decisions? So I made it inside and put on a wrinkled banana suit. Mere moments into me sitting down, she opens the door. Who? None other than an older woman in elegant pearls, deciding she wants to come in and meet the owner. The servers were unaware I needed privacy. We make eye contact as she comes in and stands in front of my table. I stop mid-tea sip. How can I explain this? Should I put my mask back on? Do I pretend I'm just a girl? All these thoughts ran through my head simultaneously. She said hello, and we awkwardly chit-chatted, and the conversation was short. Not once did she motion to the fact my head was poking out a round hole in a wrinkly banana suit talking to her. Not once did I offer a reason for it. We finished the conversation. She went back outside. I never saw her again. I thought my night was over, that my humiliation ritual was at an end. But, oh no, it was just beginning. Finally, there was one table left outside. A customer needed to use the restroom, and although I begged my servers to tell me if anyone was coming inside after the Nana incident, mistakes happen. So, the second customer of the night saw me. I didn't even register that the door had opened again before this man was keeling over laughing at what was before his eyes. When I told him I was the owner, he absolutely lost it. He laughed his way back out the doors without using the facilities, and I wondered if my misery was finally over. But wait, folks, we are not done yet. Want to know why? Because this man comes back inside with his whole table. The silence of my solo workstation is replaced with whooping and hollering, and phones being pulled out from the customers. They line up to take photos with me. We all laugh until our abs and cheeks hurt. After a few group selfies, I close down for the night and lock up my place. As I walk back to my car, I decided maybe the banana suit could stay a little longer in my trunk, just in case. Blizzard of 1978 non-fiction. In January of 1978, I was 14 years old, a freshman in high school. Before I dig wholeheartedly into this, I will tell you that the blizzard of 78 had a lot of snow and the wind chills were incredibly cold. But I recall the winter of 1977 as being one of the coldest and longest. I remember there was an outside thermometer on a window in a room next to my bedroom. I remember it staying well below zero for a week, and my dad telling me, if that goes on for another 5 or 6 days, will be time to go ice fishing. We did go back to the blizzard. Wednesday, January 25th, 1978 started out about like any other Midwestern winter day. It was a cold morning waiting on the bus outside. The ride was somewhat cold, as well with the bus driver keeping the interior lights on as early morning darkness loomed. Sometime in the mid-morning, I walked along the hall to my next class. As I passed one of the school entryways, I looked out and noticed the wind was blowing snow around. The school intercom had blurted out its usual string of announcements earlier, and for now, remained silent. I had a gym class after lunch and was looking forward to it. Not really the gym class itself, but afterwards my woodshop class had a special project of hanging plaques in one of the school's hallways. Only a few of us had been asked to help out, but as fate had it, it'd be much later. Around 10:45 a.m., the intercom broke its silence and announced that at 12:30 anyone riding a bus home would be boarding. My heart sank some, but I couldn't be sad about getting out of school early. I listened as the cancellation of several after-school activities were crackled through the loudspeakers. I remember passing and saying hi to Tim, a friend of mine who was in the woodshop class. At least, Tim could still walk home. He lived only 2 blocks from the school. I lived miles away. After lunch, I did show up at the gym, but everyone just kind of hung out because there was only 20 minutes of the day left. The gym teacher made a few announcements and had everyone sit on the bleachers for a bit. The intercom once again came to life, releasing the younger students first. When our turn came, I made a beeline for my locker, grabbed some things, and headed for the nearest door. The wind was stiff and cold. A few of the teachers had bundled up and were outside making sure everyone got to their bus. On our bus, the older high school students sat in the back. I ended up third seat up from the back, in good weather with warm and dry roads. The trip home took around 45 minutes. The small town I lived in was almost the last stop. The town that the high school was in was small, but larger than the town I lived in. The 2 towns were only 5 miles apart, traveling straight by road. The route my bus took crisscrossed the flatlands. Most of the riders lived in the country. As the bus turned from the school driveway onto the highway, I felt the back end of the bus slip. As the bus got out of town, it was obvious that conditions were not good. And with the wind starting to howl, we're definitely not going to improve. Our bus driver was also a volunteer fireman and ran a barber shop. After a while, I became familiar with the sound of the snow crunching underneath the tires. On a few occasions, the wind would actually shift the back of the bus, and the driver would countersteer, and we would all get jostled some. Most of us laughed it off. It seemed that not everyone rode the bus home. I was thinking maybe their parents had picked them up or had them stay home in the morning. There came a little surprise as the bus came to a stop at a T intersection. To my surprise, the driver turned to the right. I couldn't figure that out because there was only one house down that road, and that student was not on the bus. As a matter of fact, he had moved away when the driver got to that house. He turned around and headed back without opening the door. I realized that if the driver would have turned left at the T road, he would be trying to get up a hill from a dead stop. Along our route, there was a crossroads that, in good weather, and if you had a note from your parents, you could get off at that intersection and walk about a quarter mile to town. The driver came to the intersection. We already knew he was not going to open the door. Almost home. There were 3 more stops to go. At the next stop, the bus driver put on the parking brake, got out his seat, and turned toward us. I want everybody sitting in the seats over the wheel wells. The same number on each side. We quickly did what he said, and now I sat with my feet on the wheel well. The bus moved on. Sitting in the wheel well spot, I could hear a hissing sound when the bus got up to speed. It was all the snow sticking to the tires and going through the wheel wells. We passed through a wide open area, and the wind blew so much snow that if you looked out the window, all you saw was white. Finally, we got to our stop. I stepped off. The wind had increased, and so had the cold. As I walked about a half block to home, I felt my fingers starting to get numb. I tried to keep one of my hands in my pocket as I stepped through a foot-high drift crossing an alley. When I got home, I glanced at the clock on the kitchen wall. It was 3:10 p.m. A trip that normally took around 45 minutes had taken about 2 hours. Mom told me that Dad was on his way home. He had called Mom a little after 12 and told her he was getting ready to head home. There was a man named Roger who worked with Dad. Roger lived about 2 miles south of our town. Dad told Mom he was going to follow Roger out so far. Then Roger would turn off and head up a different road. At around 4 p.m., Dad got home. He said he did follow Roger and then turned off. A little later, our phone rang. It was Roger's wife. She told Mom that he was watching out the front window and had not seen Roger yet. My mom and Roger's wife started talking for a bit. Then Roger's wife told Mom she heard a noise at the back door. It was Roger. Apparently, Roger had taken a road that ran 2 miles south of his house that curved around, but did not make it to the curve. He ended up making his way through 2 farm fields to get to his back door. Eventually, there were 4-foot drifts in front of our house. The snow and wind continued through that night and into the next day. We were at home for the next 3 days. On Thursday, during the day, a supervisor from the local boys' home rode around town on a snowmobile, leaving a path of packed snow that made for easier walking. There was no school for the rest of the week. A friend and I got up on the snowmobile path and made our way to the only gas station in town. We managed to dig out around the pop machine, drop in some quarters, and take home a soda. If I recall correctly, the streets got somewhat opened up by the following Saturday. And on that Saturday, the supervisor from the boys' home came by again on the snowmobile. The boys' school did farming and their shop was next door. I knew the supervisor and sometimes stopped by and talked with him. He pulled up and asked me if I wanted to take a ride. I was already bundled up good for shoveling snow, so I got on and we went for a ride. We went through one field and right into the next one. The fences were covered with 2 feet of snow in most places. It was a blast. After dropping me off, he headed to the shop to check on things. By Sunday, we had 1 car dug out and running. There were awfully huge drifts out in the county. There was one that everyone bypassed for about a week until the highway department could get the equipment there to break it down. I remember that the next week temperatures rose somewhat to around 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which made it more enjoyable outside. I remember that during that week, a neighbor stopped and talked to us from his car, telling us it would be in the 40s the next week. He was right. Since that time, I have not yet seen a snowstorm that has equaled the snowfall amounts or winds that storm possessed. There have been some that were actually colder. I remember January of '84, when wind chill was around minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I remember spitting on a pile of bricks in the backyard, and it spattered like water on a hot skillet. Caught my BF cheating on me for a whole year, and yesterday a random guy paid me more in 1 message than my ex spent on me in 2 entire years. Am I the asshole here? Y'all, my hands won't stop shaking. I need to get this out before I explode. 3 weeks ago, I was at actual rock bottom. My biggest freelance client just disappeared overnight, finished the whole project, sent the final files, and then ghosted me completely. No payment, no explanation, nothing. Rent was due in Chicago. I had like $47 on my account, and I had just walked away from my 2-year relationship after finding out he'd been emotionally cheating the entire time. I felt so dumb and worthless. I was literally looking at bus tickets back to crashing on people's couches. Instead, I did the one thing I swore I'd never do. I started posting on 0F. Face out, no hiding, just me. First week I felt disgusting and paranoid, like someone I knew would see it any second. Second week I made just enough for groceries and started to breathe a little. Then yesterday happened. I woke up to a notification. One guy I barely even chatted with sent a tip with short message. The amount made me sit there on my bed staring at my phone for like 10 straight minutes. It was more than my ex ever spent on me in 2 whole years. Gifts, dates, anything. 1 single message. At first I wasn't happy. I got pissed. Like actually angry. I spent years giving that boy my time, my emotional support, my everything for free while he was calling some other girl his soul connection. And some stranger just valued me more in 30 seconds than the person who was supposed to love me. Now I feel different, like something finally clicked. I'm still that same scared girl who came to Chicago alone at 14 with nothing. But now I'm paying my own rent, and I'm the one deciding who gets access to me. My ex texted me last night. I miss us literally right after that payout hit. The timing was insane. I just smiled, left it on read, and went back to editing my next stuff. This whole thing is wild. My life flipped in 3 weeks. Has anyone else had that random moment where money from the internet suddenly showed you how little you were actually valued before? Or am I just tripping? Reading every comment, be real with me. Alright, everyone, that's all the stories for tonight. And I think that's going to do it for me tonight. I hope you guys had a relaxing time, and I'll catch you guys later. Good night, everyone.